Hello and welcome to Dear Baddies with Cindy, Nicole, and today we have a special guest. We have Dating with Owen.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Owen. Like I told you earlier, we love your TikTok content, and we wanted to have you on the show to kind of like pick your brain, get to know you a little bit. So first questions first. How did you get started? How do you have so many followers? Like how did you come up with this idea to have Dating with Owen?
It's actually funny because originally, like, if you go like deep, like into my page, 'cause I've only been on TikTok now for like a year. I originally wanted to do kind of like basketball. I'm really passionate about the NBA, about an ardent follower. And those like videos, it was mostly like basketball, like who's better, like LeBron or Michael Jordan, and things of that nature. And those videos really just went absolutely nowhere. And I eventually did one video, and it was kind of like, man, like being single kind of sucks. Like it's hard out here. And the video like exploded. This was around like Christmas. And eventually I was kind of like, you know what? Like this might be able to turn into something. And I ended up getting with like a branding coach, whatever. And she was like, hey, like your username's like Owen24. Like, what does that tell people? If they're like, if I saw you on my FYP, like, why should I follow you? So then she's like, why don't you try rebranding? And I was like, okay, what about Dating with Owen? And it kind of just like clicked. It was like natural. And then from there, it kind of just took off. And really just trying to tell the everyday story of like, kind of like an average person. I'm not like no star or no influencer or anything like that, just a regular guy. And I guess a lot of people kind of like resonated with the stories. And I'm still like a rather small creator compared to like the super big ones out there. But it's really cool to be able to like build that community and just connect with people from all walks of life.
Yeah, I think the first video I saw with you was something about millennials, and I'm 35, so I I really like resonated with that. So I love your content. It's fantastic.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, of course. And of course, and follow all of our friends. So.
I've been following a lot your content lately, and it's just like I love. And I know we're going to talk about it later on, but coffee season.
It is time. It's cuffing season time.
Yes, we've begun.
Yeah, that video was completely off the cuff. Like I was actually like sitting outside like my apartment building with a couple of friends, and I was like, yo, it's Labor Day, like cuffing season's here. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yo, y'all know cuffing season, when the weather starts to change, you got to find that person to get you through the cold weather. And I was like, there's like draft day, there's scouting season, there's a championship game, which is Valentine's Day. Like it's
so
the time is now
that you have to be cuffed up.
Yeah.
A little bit more than 6 months, because
that's a long time to tolerate someone that you don't want to
January, February. I mean, yeah, 6 months, half of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I just filmed the video like, so there we were, and I just filmed the video.
You don't want to spend it by yourself or anything. And like the holidays, I mean, single people get really hit hard with the holidays because, I mean, November, I mean, you got Halloween, everybody dressing up, and then you have Thanksgiving. I usually, because I feel single, I mean, I am single and I feel lonely, I go ahead and take a trip. Forget about the turkey and all that. Christmas, I don't even spend it here.
That's interesting. I you know what? I feel like the holiday season's really tough, and I think that's part of too when I really started to take off on TikTok. I think at that point, maybe around Christmas last year, I had maybe, let's say, 3,000, 4,000 followers, like, which is still to some people that's like, oh my god, but like to some people that's like nothing. And I remember I did that one video, and it was like essentially it was like, stop telling single people, you'll find love when you least expect it. It's one of the pinned videos on my page, and that was literally like 2 or 3 days before Christmas. And I was kind of like, essentially, Mrs. Right, if you're out there, like, say hi. The video exploded. Like, I think I went from maybe 1,100 followers on Instagram to like now 1,700. They got like 600,000-700,000 views, give or take. And all these people from all over the country are like, hi, Mrs. Right here. I'm in Kentucky. Hi, I'm in Kansas. Hi, I'm in South Carolina. And I'm like, a lot of wonderful people, but I live in Virginia. So it's kind of like.
What part of Virginia do you live in?
I live in Arlington, literally right outside Washington, D.C., like 5 minutes. And actually see literally the like Washington Monument from my house. So
I have a question for you. So that video that you were just talking about, where I know one of them that you have pinned on your TikTok is, I guess everyone's saying like, well, stop looking and you'll find someone. Like, I want to pick your brain about that because it's so true. Like, if you stop looking and you stay home, like, there's a lot of TikToks about men that are like, where are all the good men? Oh, well, we're at home. We're taking care of our own shit, you know? So I've asked this a couple of podcasts before with different men that we've had on, but where do you meet people? If you're not on a dating app, where do you go?
That's a good question. In terms of, I guess, meeting people out in the wild, as somebody would say, or, you know, organically, it's really more like your hobbies. You know, if you're playing in the adult, I don't know if it's popular where y'all live, but they have the adult, like, kind of social sports, the beer leagues, you know. There, I actually had a couple people on my team, a couple who got married because they met at one of the social leagues. Or if you're joining like a book club, if you're going to comedy nights, you're going to trivia, you're going to bingo. I mean, those opportunities are there, but like the dating apps are just woven into the fabric of our society. So I actually just posted a video like yesterday or the day before, and it was kind of like, I don't necessarily love dating apps, but they're a necessary evil in today's world. So I get it. And the problem isn't necessarily with the apps, because if it wasn't the apps, it'd be something else. So it's kind of like it's got to start in here and in your heart. Well, your heart and your brain. Like, I don't know if anyone's going to be watching this, but it's not easy. But there's definitely many ways to do it outside of the dating apps. That's for sure.
I would say, I mean, adding to that, it's like you have to do the work. Meaning, okay, last year I hired a dating coach. Yes, dating coaches exist, female and male. And it was like, I was not ready to date. I hired a matchmaker. Yes, I'm still single. But I basically, I fired her because I didn't want to. But it has to be when you're ready. And honestly, yes, I mean, when you least expect it, you find it. But are you putting yourself out there? Don't expect for the UPS guy to be the love of your life.
Amazon.
But the guy, I mean, it might be too young. But I mean, it's just like, you got to get yourself out there, because if you keep on saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to say in, hey, you know what, I mean, and look, tomorrow I'm actually flying to Iceland. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the Delta Lounge. I am going to flirt, and I'm going to meet people, and I'm going to be like, hey, can I sit here? Or, hi, how you doing? You know what? I'm going to be outgoing because I'm going at a perfect time around 3:00. And you know, those people that commute, fly out,
getting off of work, whatever.
They're ready to fly off to their homes, or you know what? You never know.
Well, so background on the Iceland thing. So for, I guess, our listeners that don't know Cindy very well, Cindy's going to Iceland, and it was a last minute trip. A guy friend had a girlfriend. He, you know, obviously they broke up. Cindy's going now. And it happened, within a week or so, I think?
It happened on Sunday. So she dumped him. They had broken up a few times, and she's like, I'm not going. And believe me, this is a good friend that I haven't talked to for a year. But I mean, we've been really good friends. And he's like, hey, I bought her ticket and all that, and I have all this paid. We're going with a group of friends too. And I'm like, I'm in. And it happens to be that it all worked out, and I'm going to Iceland for 10 days, leaving Friday, and I'll be back on the 3rd.
So are there any expectations with that trip, or I'm just wondering, like, from a guy perspective, maybe Owen, you can answer this question. From a male perspective, obviously his heart is a little bit broken. Him and his girlfriend broke up, but I wonder what his expectation is with Cindy. She might be thinking like, oh, well, we're just going as friends, but I guess there's always that chance that maybe he's not thinking that way.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's a possibility, but it definitely depends on if the foundation, like what the foundation of the friendship was. Like, I mean, I know I definitely have friends like I've traveled with who were, you know, opposite sex, and we're just straight up platonic friends. Like, we've traveled and gone to Europe together for 10 days. Actually, it was 10 days exact, like 4 years ago, for example. And nothing happened. Like, we shared hotel rooms. Granted, it wasn't like me coming off of a breakup or anything like that, but it was like, hey, like, I know you like to travel, and I want to go to like London, I want to go to Brussels, I want to go to Paris, would you like to come? And it was like, yes. We just got rooms with like 2 double beds or 2 queen beds, and we did it. Like, it's definitely very possible. I mean, if you're feeling even like a little bit, you know, I don't know, you know, kind of like go with your gut and have that conversation if you want to, like, hey, just to be upfront, you know, like, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. But no, I definitely think it's possible to go as friends.
I think it begs the question, can men and women be just friends? You know, is there always going to be one person or another that has feelings for the other? I mean, in my opinion, I think men and women can be totally platonic. I don't think that there's ever a chance. I've got tons of male friends.
It's like, ow.
Referring to them as male guys from now on. But I mean, in my opinion, I think that men and women can be friends strictly.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that because, I mean, one of the issues, like him and I, we have been really good friends. Like I've gotten to the point that I spend every Sunday with his family eating, you know, and I mean, I'm like a really good friend. I was going through a breakup back then and I wasn't healed. This was like last year. And, you know, I didn't know what to do or who else to spend time with. So I would hang out with him all the time to the point that I would get in bed, in his bed with his daughter, meaning that I would read stories to her. I would cuddle with her and all that and my kids around. So we developed a really good relationship. Plus, I mean, whenever I would stay at his house, I would sleep on the couch. I wouldn't sleep upstairs because it was most likely for me, it was like respect. But his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend saw me as a,
Right.
Oh, you're sleeping with her. You slept with her. Or, you know, like that jealousy part. But that also gives you traits of, you know what? There's there's trauma. She has to heal. There's insecurity. I mean, there's other things that are being brought up in that relationship. Is this going to be a healthy relationship or is it going to be a unhealthy relationship?
Yeah, I definitely think I mean, things do change. Like, for example, like if I had a platonic friend, I don't think that, well, I mean, I do. I don't think that like once they get a boyfriend, I don't think we'll be doing like the solo trips to Europe together. But like, I definitely think we're still going to be close. We're still going to be really great friends. It's just maybe things might look a little different in certain things. Like, you know, maybe you're not doing sleepovers as much or at all, but like, you know, you can still talk to them, have that person to confide in and, you know, be essentially a partner in crime. So even if it looks a little different, like the closeness is still going to be there.
I think that comes with maturity too. Because I know like when I was in my early 20s, there's no way I would have been friends with any of my exes or my ex's girlfriends, you know, but I know being the age that I'm now, like I'm friends with my exes and their girlfriends. So, I mean, not all of them, of course, but, you know, I think that comes with maturity, of course, with anything, right?
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah. Cindy, did you have any questions for Owen? I've got so many.
All right, go for it.
Just run down. So we've asked a few guys previously on the last couple of podcasts what they think of dating apps. And I know that you are on dating apps currently, but I love what you said, I guess, I don't know if that was today or yesterday, about not being on dating apps. And I don't think we would call it a movement per se, but what do you think about just completely getting off the dating apps and just kind of living organically?
You know, I think about it all the time. And I left a comment like, yo, what if we started essentially like a, you know, dating app removal movement or boycotting dating apps? What if we started like a dating app boycott? And I'm like, a part of me like really wants to do it, but it's also that kind of fear, like a little bit of FOMO, like, damn, like is Mrs. Right still using Tinder? She's still on, well, I don't use Tinder, but Hinge or Bumble. You know, part of me is always like, not like, because you see like, hey, I found the love of my life on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble. You know, they use that like 3% success rate, whatever, to rope 97% of people in. And I'm kind of like, but honestly, I think I could do it. But there's always that one lingering thing that's kind of like, it's the hesitation to fully delete it. But I think about it all the time.
So I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So, all right, so I got back on the league. I'm only on the league right now.
Okay.
And so I saw that the same men are on all these other dating apps. It's just like, tell me, how many more other dating apps are you in? Like, I know Bumble. I mean, Bumble is a good one, I guess, to a certain extent. Hinge, you got the league, you got Tinder. I don't like Tinder at all because it's a fuck dating
Tinder is like a fuckboy's paradise, you know, like, or like a like a scammer's paradise. There's so many men that tried to scam me on that one, or just meet the same day. I know for me, like when I was dating, like there's no way that I would meet up with somebody the same day, and I learned my lesson with that one time. What are your top 3 dating apps, Owen?
Goodness. I guess the top 3 would be the only 3 I use, which would be Hinge, Bumble, and The League. Now, if I were to rank those, Hinge 1 and The League and Bumble can fight for like 3rd place or something. I don't know. 2nd place. I don't care. I really understand the value of Bumble, especially, allowing women to, like control the narrative and all that, like message first. I get that, but I feel like the majority of people on there don't actually do that. So, you match with somebody and you're like, excited. You're feeling like cool. Like, this is, I like their profile. They have good prompts. Like they, put effort into it, and then they just don't match you. And you're just like, what the fuck? And I know, I actually know of like a few girls from college I'm friends with that are like, I won't message a guy no matter how much I like their profile if they don't extend the match. Because, like if you can extend it and they're like, oh, they extend it, that shows that they really wanted me to talk to them. And I'm like, yeah, it's a game. Like, what are we doing here?
Now that you mentioned games, okay, so yes, I can't remember right now the Millionaire Matchmaker, and she's from LA.
Patty Stanger.
My thing is that she says that you don't message a guy if they extend. If they extend, then you message the guy back, because then that's when they say they're really interested. Now I'm going to ask you on this one is, what is it with men in all these games? Men and women. It's not only one-sided, it's both-sided. Like, look, if I want you, why don't you tell me you want me? If you don't want me, instead of being like, oh, you know what, give me space, because that way I can just go ahead and date other people. No, you're not interested in me. Just tell me blunt and clear, you're not interested in me. Those are words that can be used.
I think a lot of people enjoy having backup plans, and they like feeling wanted and feeling desired, even if they don't desire the person that's showing them their attention. Like, it's an ego thing. I mean, people like to be wanted. It's natural. And I think a lot of people like to have alternative options that they can turn to if something were to, fizzle out with their number one goal. And people like having that sense of security. If all else fails, I always have something I can fall back onto. And it's kind of like, people like shouldn't be treated like that. And people don't want to put themselves out there and be intentional, because there's so many games being played and people don't want to get hurt. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because if you don't put yourself out there and if you're not intentional, how are you going to truly find like what you're really, looking for?
Which one did you have the most success on, do you think? And also, have you ever tried Facebook dating?
I refuse to try. I have like a Facebook, and I've gotten messages like, so-and-so has messaged you, but I always think they're like fake. I don't know why. I don't think it's real.
I heard that from a lot of men. Like my boyfriend particularly, we met on Facebook dating. We met in person for like first, but I was dating somebody else, and he found me on Facebook dating like a month later. But I was not a proponent of Facebook dating at first until I met him. But he told me, he's like, no one would ever match with me. And if they did, it was some sort of like, let me get some money from you kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you're too far off with that at all.
So now on the Facebook dating, okay, so now let's say imagine a world without dating apps. Wouldn't it be better to just slide into people's DMs? Like, Instagram.
On Facebook?
No, not on. Well, you know what? I have so many people that message me on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just like ridiculous. But it's just like, okay, so if I like this guy, let me just go ahead and message him. Like on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, you start comments back and forth. I mean, and you get to have a conversation with that person, or connection with that person. What will you think about that versus having dating apps?
Well, that's funny you mentioned something like that. I actually literally watched a video about maybe 2 hours ago on my way home from work about a woman who is pretty much advocating for location-based dating on Instagram. So let's say you go to, Davio's or Mastro's or, some nice restaurant, and you click in the location. You take a picture like, I was at Mastro's, and geotag location, you can see who else has posted at said location. You click into the location and look for like cute guys who posted pictures there, and then go to their profiles and then message them. And I was kind of like, what? And it was kind of like, instead of doing dating apps, why don't you do this? And it's kind of like, that's playing with fire. But I
No,
guess.
I would love that because you know what? Okay, so like I said, I've been single for, all right, separated 4 years.
Look at Owen with his wine. I love it. Cheers.
My thing is, you know what? As me as a single person, I would love that because I am in so many random locations and be like, and sometimes I wonder, I wonder who's here that is single. You know what? I wonder,
Cindy, so we live in Atlanta, right? So I know, Cindy, you're from Texas. I'm from Georgia. And I'm sure that this is cultural, but for me, it's so difficult for me to reach out to someone on Instagram or whatnot. It's that whole fear of rejection. Not that I think that I would be rejected, because we've done podcasts in the past where, we have discovered that men love to be approached. They love compliments.
Absolutely.
So hearing that, I guess it makes it better, but at the same time, it's that fear of rejection. So how do you, I guess men are so much better at it than women are. So how do you get over that fear of rejection and just kind of go for it?
I'm not even going to sit here and lie to y'all. I think men, we are extremely desensitized to it. And honestly, a lot of men just don't even care, because a lot of men will shoot. A lot of men look at it. I'm not even going to lie. I'm guilty of it myself at times. It's a numbers game. If you reach out to 100 people, you're like, okay, I reach out to 100 girls through DM on Instagram or Hinge or whatever app you're on. And let's say only 20 match with you or 20 message you back. Now you work from that 20, but it's like 80 people. More likely than not, the overwhelming majority are going to shoot you down or just not respond. And you kind of build that into your mind, and you're kind of so used to it, you don't even care anymore, because you're like, look, if I can find one or two situations that go somewhere, I've won. So for men on the apps, it's like you're fearless too. If you're sitting at the phone, you're sitting on your phone, you're like, all right, boop, 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 boop. You shoot your shot. It's not like you're going up to 100 different women at the bar and doing that, because then that's a little different. But on the phone, hustlers and ambition, people don't care.
I love it. Maybe that should be the title of our podcast, Hustlers and Mission.
But in me, I don't care. I'm just I'll just message. I message everybody. I'm like, well, that's how we get our podcast guests.
Yeah.
But I think it's also the salesy part of me too. Or the hustler part of me, because I'm like, hey, if I want it, I'm going to go after it. Be like, hi, how you doing? And then I will just start messaging the comments until you pay me attention and be like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah. It's interesting. And, I checked out a lot of the stuff you both post. And I know you did the one video about you guys being approached, and, that one did really well. And it's really true. I think for men, it's so rare to have a woman approach you and be like, hey, I really think, you're attractive, or hey, what's your name? I'd love to talk to you more, blah, 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 whatever. And that happens so infrequently that it kind of throws you off. And you're kind of like, oh, it's this is a pleasant surprise, because men are traditionally doing the pursuing, and to be pursued, I feel that really can get things accelerated and started on a really positive foot. But I don't know if it'll ever become normalized, but it's truly nice when it does happen.
I don't know. I've approached a lot of men and all that. And it's just hey, if I want your business, I will get your business. But I am learning how to not approach this as a business, if not as a, hey, are you single? Do you want to go on a date? Let's go.
Okay.
And if you're single, then, if you're not single, then do you have a brother? It's just look, I'm single, I'm ready to mingle, and I'm here for the next 24 hours.
I think, Cindy, and I love your go-getter attitude, but I think majority of women are not that way.
Not at all.
Yeah, because I know for myself, when I was dating, there's no, Bumble was a stretch for me, because, women are the ones that have to, message the guys first. So, honestly, I might have missed out. At this point, I don't think I did, but I think at the time when I was dating, I think I might have missed out on quite a bit. But it's just, I think it's, again, I'm going to go back to that fear of rejection. I think we all have that. So it's harder. I know you're very type A, you're in sales. And that's just, I just don't think that that's how a lot of women work, you know?
And I think,
Go ahead.
oh, so I was just, I think especially you mentioned Bumble, like I think too, that puts to build on my point more, a lot of, people won't message, or they're like, oh, I won't message if they don't extend, or a lot of people won't message at all because there's that like anxiety and that fear. Okay, what do I say? Like there's pressure. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then that leads people to, not reach out. Cause, they're like, I don't know what to say. Like it's awkward now, XYZ, they're feeling uncomfortable. And they're like, I'd rather just avoid the situation altogether. And then on the other end, like there's guys who are like, oh my God, like I match with these girls, or I match with these women, and they're not messaging me like what the heck's going on. And that's how you get the disconnect. Because they don't know, they don't have the context to know what's happening on the other side. And the guy, both sides like don't know what the other person's thinking. And, we had a wall.
So what I like about so Bumble, and I think it's Bumble, Hinge allows you, I'm sorry, not Hinge, Bumble and Delete allows you to send videos. I love to send video conversations back and forth. And men like that actually. And I've gotten really good replies out of that. Because that way I know they're not catfishing me. I just like instantly like, all right, you want to do this? You want to have a conversation? Let's just go ahead and do video.
Owen shaking his head. Why are you shaking your head, Owen?
I'm not sending video to a soul. I've never in my life done a voice memo on any of the dating apps. I don't send the voice messages. I don't do any of that. I'm the straight static message.
Didn't I send you a video message? No, I did send you a video message.
And I text responded to every last one of your videos.
I know Cindy will send me videos too, and I'm like, text.
It's just me.
Okay, I guess it's me.
It's not. I know for me, it's not second nature to just pick up my phone and record a video. It is second nature to pick up my phone and send a text. Like
100%.
A voice memo, maybe. But that's pushing it for me. But Cindy, you're like the total opposite of me. Like, let me send you a video. And you know what? I love it. I love how you kind of just, you go after what you want and you let it known what you want from the beginning. I love that about you.
And that's why I'm single. I'm still looking because men don't like that personality to be like, I'm going to get you.
I think there's a fine line between being confident and being overconfident. Like there's such a blurry line.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that, Owen?
I definitely think that there is that line because some people kind of get a little too cocky or too arrogant, and it's kind of like you got to be really careful with that because it's cool to believe in yourself, but it's got to be reasonable. Like you can't be like, oh, these people want me. But it's like, okay, when's the last time you went on a date? Oh, it's been like 2 or 3 months. And it's like, all these people want you, unless you're, struggling with some like family thing or, crippling anxiety. It's kind of like, well, what's going on here?
Cindy, do you want to talk about your date this week?
Oh, the one that stood me up?
Well, Cindy had a date plan for this week. And he stood.
It was a hangout. It was not a date. It was a hangout.
So this is
man.
So in my opinion, there was a few red flags with this guy. One, he wanted to hang out. He didn't actually say, I want to take you on a date. 2, he didn't communicate with you about being on time or potentially late. And 3, he gave you an excuse. However, he did back it up with sufficient evidence. But it is pretty easy to, get a Google phone number and text yourself a conversation. So I'm not sure, but that's just
that is true. That actually happened. I would do that. That would be something I would do.
I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to pass.
Be like, see, my mom is calling me. I gotta go.
Yeah. Oh no, I prefer to get out of a date before. I've called myself from a Google phone number and gotten out. So, I mean, that was my first inclination that maybe he's not going to work out. The let's go hang out terminology was like, okay, well maybe he isn't. Do you think that's pretty spot on, Owen?
In terms of people using excuses to get out of dates?
No. So if someone's going to ask me on a date, but they're not going to say, hey, I want to take you on a date. I just want to go hang out. That's not a date.
Yeah, I definitely don't say, hey, like I want to take you, like I want to go hang out. Or if anything, I'll be like, hey, like I'd love to get to know you better. Would you like to get drinks sometime? Or would you like that? Which you build that intention. You show that intention that I'm interested in you. I'm interested in getting to know you. I'd like to spend time with you. But hey, do you want to hang out? Like, nah, like I'll say that to like one of my homies or one of like my platonic like friends. Hey, like you want to go hang out and like go to the dog park with Charlie, my dog, or you want to chill and just like relax. But in terms of a woman I'm interested in, no, I'm not saying do you want to hang out. I'm actually a bit like, hey, do you want to spend time together? But I'm not also saying, hey, let's go on a date.
So with him, the rule is if they're not intentional with what they say to ask you to go somewhere with them, then it's probably not a date.
Yeah, I feel like most people, especially, are like pretty good on like picking up on like what's going on, the cues, the hints. Now, am I sure there's some people who say, hey, let's hang out, and they do think it's a date? I'm sure. But I want to imagine that the majority of individuals don't think that way. So it's probably not like commonplace for people to assume when somebody says, let's hang out, they mean let's go on a date.
And the funny thing is, I told him, hey, I like you. I want to get to know you better. He's like, oh, you're a cool girl. I'm like, what?
And I'm like, that you're a cool girl that came after he stood her up.
Ooh.
So in my opinion, just from my experience, that's never gone well for me.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That is really tough.
I told him, like, because I was like, you know what? I really am not that interested in him or anything. Let me just see where this goes. It's giving him like the benefit of the doubt. And he's smart, yeah. But yeah, no. He's like, well, I'm not ready to, I don't like rushing into things or anything. I'm like, wait. Who said from I like you into I have feelings for you? This has, like, I told him I hate text. This has blown out way out of proportion because I like you, Owen. When are we getting married? Oh, no, that's love bombing. But it's just like, look, I can like a phone. I can like a scrunchie. I can like a mouse. But it doesn't mean that I have feelings for you. It means like I like you as a human being.
Yeah, I feel like that's why text is can be kind of like perilous because a lot of things can get taken out of context, and maybe like I feel like that's why I like phone calls or even better in-person communication because some people literally naturally talk like that. Like for me, I'll be like, yeah, like I really think you're cool. Like I really enjoy spending time with you. I really think you're great. I think we get along. But like to some people, if I'm saying, yeah, I really think you're great. I like we get along. They might think, oh, this guy just looks at me as a friend. But in reality, I'm like, yeah, I'm really into this person. I'm crazy about them. And it's kind of like you choose the like awkward wording, or if you're like really nonchalant in nature, things can get mixed like through text. So maybe in person, they could feel like your energy, your vibe, and like how you're delivering this, and maybe pick up on it a little bit better. Hopefully.
Yeah. Cindy, I am curious to know, have you spoken to him since?
Oh, no, hell no. I'm not going to talk to him at all. Mm-mm. Why? Why would I even waste my time?
I totally
agree. I'm talking to this other guy. It's just like, but so there's this guy that I had been talking to since last year. He lives in San Diego, and we're actually meeting up in Vegas for this convention that I have coming up after I come back from Iceland. Then I'm going to be spending 7 days in Vegas. So because of this work convention. And he's like, hey, do you want to come? I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll come and visit you. He's single now. So I'm like, oh, perfect. But the funny thing is that my birthday is July the 4th and his birthday is July the 5th. It all started through podcasts, though, last year.
So this is a former like podcast guest of yours?
No. We never did a podcast together. But if we talk, he's been 7 years doing different podcasts about real estate. And I'm like, you know what? That might be someone that I actually would like to get to know. But he lives in San Diego. I'm not moving to San Diego. So we have that clear. Not moving, you're not moving, neither of us are moving.
Owen, would you ever have a long distance relationship?
I got to answer this one very quickly, very carefully. Because, I've met some extremely wonderful individuals, especially as I've gained a little bit of notoriety on TikTok or a little bit of, bit of a following, and I've met some really great people who've lived pretty far, and I've had to tell them I'm not really looking for a long distance relationship because it's tough. It's like if you live in state A, I live in state B, and you don't plan on moving, I don't plan on moving. It's kind of like, what are we going to do here? Because eventually, I feel like you're dating on borrowed time, because something's going to have to give. There's going to be a point in time when you're like, hey, I'm ready for the next chapter of my life, and I want to see where things are going. But if you don't plan on moving, I don't plan on moving. Like, what's going on? So I've had to end things, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm not really trying to date long distance, but I really think you're a wonderful person, and if we were local, like, things would be totally different. So, but now I'm kind of like opening myself up more to the idea within reason. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm in Virginia. I don't want to date a woman who lives in like Washington State or like, Nevada or something, Colorado. I don't know. But if they lived maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, like mid-plane ride, maybe like North Carolina, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, okay, Georgia, that's probably the max. Probably like New Jersey, or like south to maybe like South Carolina, Georgia. Now I'm kind of like, what? Maybe, but it's got to be the right situation, and like I feel like it's one of those, like, you'll know it when you know it.
Yeah. Do you believe in that everyone has a soulmate?
No. I don't think everyone does. Like, personally, I'm not one of those people that believes like everyone has that person, everyone has that marriage partner, everyone should be married. Personally, I don't think marriage is for everybody, and I think that's personally okay. Like, I think not everyone's meant to be married, and as long as people are like, oh, that person's 45, they never got married. Oh, what a loser! And it's kind of like, no, they're not a loser. Like, maybe that just wasn't in the cards for them.
They're smart. They're freaking smart. A divorce is expensive. I've been through it twice.
I've been through it once. It's draining financially, emotionally. If you have kids, it's draining on them. I'm with you, Owen. I don't know if soulmates, or maybe that terminology is very current, but because what if you lived and you were from, I don't know, Italy or whatnot, there's going to be somebody out there for you there, or there's going to be somebody for you in Australia. I don't believe, if there are soulmates, I think that you've got more than one.
Yeah. And, even things like such as all women are not meant to have children. All women don't want to have children.
That is correct.
Like that. And that's totally fine. I feel like society has put people or programmed people to put themselves in these boxes, and I need to check this box, I need to check this box, I need to check this box.
Yeah.
Okay, I lived a fulfilling life. And it's kind of like, no, not at all. Like, just make yourself happy and do what you want.
I've done a lot of research on that too. Because there was a point in my life where I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have kids. So I was researching marriage, and like, my family is we're Southern Baptist. So I was kind of pushed into, you got to get married first, and then you can live together, and then you can have sex, and then you can have children, all that normal Southern Baptist Bible thumping lip rigmarole. So I did a little bit of research on it, and, hundreds of years ago, people were getting married because of the STD spreading, so I'm not sure that I totally agree with you. It's not for everybody. Kids are not for everyone. And I want to fucking normalize that women do not have to have children to be happy. Like, no, we don't want to have kids. That's fucking fine.
Yeah.
And going back to that, it's just like, the older I get, it's just like, and I'll do a video about this later, because I thought about this. I don't know if I will ever fall in love again, because it's just like, when it comes to love, it's just like, it blinds you, it makes you stupid. And you become so freaking vulnerable. Why would I want to put myself into that? And this is the thing. Probably because I'm talking about my walls, and I haven't found anybody that I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to spend with you for the rest of my life. And I honestly, like, the older I get, I'm like, why would I get married to an idiot? To another person, meaning that, yeah, I own my own house, I have my own car, I have my own business. Why would I even think about that? It's more liability for me than an asset.
Yeah.
Well, you got me there.
It's true. I mean, it's definitely it's not a lighthearted decision to make, and it's extremely important. There's a lot of factors that need to be considered, and for some people, they're like, I'd rather not. I'm kind of like, I get it. I mean, personally, like me, I want to get married one day. I want to be able to have children and all that. And I've like personally, like for example, on the dating apps, I do not like match with people. I filter them out if they don't want children. And I understand, and personally, I understand and I respect it. And I don't judge them in any shape or fashion. I think that's totally valid. That's how they feel. Cool. But for me personally, like I know that's something I'm very like passionate about. I really do want to be a father someday. And even if personally I feel differently, I understand and respect other people's ability and choices to feel the way that they do. And that's not really like having children isn't really a thing to compromise on or half step. Because it's not like we can have half a child. Or like we'll raise a child for 5 years and then we'll give it away. It's like it doesn't work like that. That's a lifelong commitment. If that's not something somebody wants to do, they end up resenting their child, and I'd never want to put somebody through that.
And I agree with that. I have two beautiful boys, and it's all on me. I mean, the dad lives in Japan, but I basically have raised my kids on my own. But I adore those little boys. I adore them. And it's just like, I'm just like, I guess it's because I'm lonely. I know this sounds bad, but I mean, I guess I haven't found that person. And I'm all about traveling, extreme sports. I mean, I love skydiving. I love flying planes. I love like zip lining. I mean, I can be like, hey, plane? Oh, wait, where do you want to go? Sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah.
And I love the spontaneity. And with that, having another kid, well, my brother's having my kid, but let me, I donated my eggs to my brother, and my brother and his husband are having a baby. Surrogate.
Okay. I'm like, there's context that I'm missing here. Because when you say I donated my eggs to my brother, I'm kind of like,
Wait,
okay. I mean, technically, that's exactly what happened, but at face value, at first, I'm kind of like, wait a minute, huh? But that's what happened. Yeah, you did.
No, definitely. And it's just like, for me, it's just like, okay, so you know what, this is important, but it's the right person, and I haven't found that person. So if I ever find that person, then we'll go from there. Yeah,
I agree. I definitely agree.
But I'm also 40, so I'm almost 40, so yeah.
Oh, you are not.
Don't be one of those people that rounds themselves up like 8 years. I'm almost 40. It's like you're literally 31, 32. Like,
no, I'm 37. I just turned 37.
It just doesn't leave here.
Everybody knows my age now, whatever. But yeah.
Well, Owen, thank you so much for jumping on our podcast and giving us all this information. You've been so helpful. And everybody check out Owen on TikTok and Instagram. Can you give him your handle?
Yes, I'm dating with Owen on Instagram and dating with Owen on TikTok. Exactly how you think it would be spelled. And I hope you guys come join the community, like what you see, and can't wait to interact with you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining Dear Baddies, boyfriends, bitches, dating, and everything in between. Have a good night.
Have a good night, people.